But I have to ask you, where did that conversation come from? Where did the mind monster and the light treadmill and the journey to find one's own voice spring up in you?
Man, like I definitely don't have a prepared answer. I mean, I don't have a prepared answer for any of your questions. We didn't do any kind of like a real pre-interview or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, let's practice being totally honest.
Okay.
I went into this whole thing with a bunch of ideas of my own, and Sarah, my roommate and director, who is like a huge part of this whole thing, and we'll talk about her later. But she had some ideas, and she had some things that some creative thoughts she wanted to see if she could get out in this project. This one started with Sarah knowing that there was a prop out there in the wide world, which was like this giant iris. So it was something that she had worked on. Sarah, I can't remember if we mentioned on stream who that is, but is my roommate, and she is the director of the Secret Sky.
Yes. Shut up, loser, anyway. On Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that to Swardy.
So, yeah. So that whole segment sort of grew out of us knowing, because Sarah had worked with this prop in the past, that there's this thing that is like it looks like a camera aperture or like an iris, and has a crank on the side, and you can open it up. So we always knew that we were going to go to some kind of an ethereal place. We didn't call it heaven or the void or anything specific, but the sort of like working or I guess code name for the set was always Into the Light. And so it was clear that it was some kind of like going beyond or transcending the void type of a set, whatever that means. But how we got there wasn't even clear yet. If you notice throughout the Secret Sky set, I both sink after being dragged underwater from a giant squid, but then I also underwater explode from a deep sea mine encounter. And both of those were mechanisms to like send me to the void potentially. So
yes.
So yeah,
you were going,
and so
we're all going.
So we had like no matter what, we're all careening towards the light. So anyway, eventually we figured out that it was going to be the deep sea mine from the kelp forest. That explosion was going to send me there, and we were looking for a way to connect the dots between ideas that we already had, and one idea was this idea of walking on a treadmill towards the light, which could sort of open at the beginning and close towards the end. And then the other one was the idea of getting to this machine, which is the gold line that you guys saw before I came on. And that machine was obviously supposed to be some kind of nostalgic instrument that was gonna, I don't know, get its juice or its musical energy or something from a memory. And so
the memory machine.
So we invent the conversation about finding your voice and how you're going to do it, and the idea of reaching into your past or something like that sort of comes together. And then the M Machine references, made sense because I've done a lot of exploring sort of the transition from working with people and moving into going solo, and I guess it just kind of materialized out of a need for us to somehow connect. Walking on a treadmill in heaven to this memory machine. And so we just only had so many tools to work with. And one of them was the unfrown, which is the smiling or frowning character, who in the Solar Express or Into the Light set that you guys just saw, was played by my girlfriend, Lauren. And that was pretty exciting. She helped out across all over the place throughout this entire set.
Sure, it took a village.
But that was where that was her I guess first acting appearance. You see her very briefly in the kelp forest too.
Get her an IMDb. Let's do this.
No. She's going places. So anyway, so it was like bred out of necessity. We had to write the story to connect the dots. And it doesn't really get much deeper than that.
I mean, it's pretty deep. It feels deep when you're there.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
I think so.
I mean, it's a question, right? You're asking the audience as well. How will
Mm-hmm.
you know? My favorite is that he goes, or she, or they, the monster goes, "You won't for a while."
Yeah. Right.
Which is very true. I feel like anytime you stumble upon something in your life, you don't really know that you've stumbled upon it, and until you're able to look back and go, "Oh, that was a pivotal moment."
Yeah. I know. Hindsight is a really beautiful thing. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to have. I think anybody who's writing something, it's nice to have sort of like a strange, like nameless creature who can be especially poetic or deep, or offer you advice somewhere. It's like a great story mechanism. So yeah, the same dancing freak who explodes us all in the kelp forest is also the one that provides us a path home. And yeah, I mean, as far as like it being a little bit like not being particularly specific in the message, that's not totally unintentional. It's funny, we've talked a lot about the M Machine. One of the things I'll mention really quick, and then I promise we can move on from my past.
Your past will always follow you, so it's fine.
There. Yeah, it's there. But I do compare my solo stuff with the work that I did for the M Machine all the time. And one of the things that we did constantly was to like really spoon feed an ultra specific narrative to people. So if you care about, like sci-fi influenced apocalypse, concept albums, then like the M Machine was for you. I mean, we were going to give you everything you wanted, from like, the names of each character to which song to listen to while you're reading which part of the short story. And I think that's really cool for a certain, subsect of a niche. And I think as I got older, it was like it became more interesting to sort of appreciate the idea of making something that like people are allowed to sort of shift and mold into their slice of experience. So I try not. It's funny. I had this exact conversation with Kill the Noise recently. We went for a walk, and he asked me, "What does it mean? What was going on with Solar Express? What was that conversation all about?" And I started to ramble like I am right now about how it doesn't have like a really specific meaning. And he said, wait, never mind. I have my own feelings and meaning about that. And if it wasn't intentionally like that from you, I don't want to know.
Someone else was asking where the inspiration for the Under the Sea bit came from.
Well, I'm going to assume that they mean the set for it.
I assume so as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't know why I wouldn't talk about both. So the song for the first
Submersiverse?
half of, yes,
Great name.
We call that scene the kelp forest. Yeah, Submersiverse is also totally derivative of some things that I have experienced from the immersive world, right? So yeah, Submersiverse is the first half of that set. First things first, got to shout out Emma Bradford, who I did a little bit of tweeting about, Instagram posting about, who was the art director for that.
So great.
That set.
Beautiful.
We knew already going into that, before we had conversations with Emma, and by we, I mean me and Sarah, that we wanted to do a kelp forest. And so like, if you just type kelp forest into Google, like a Google image search, you'll see there's like always this angle. You can always see, you see up, and then it sort of like fades to this bright infinity. And that was it. That was like the entirety of the concept. We're like, we know we want kelp. We don't want the kelp to sort of move to the music in some way. It could like sway, or maybe it bounces or something like that. And then anyway, thanks, Emma. Do your best. And and then of course it spiraled into this thing. So Emma is an incredible seamstress now. That's kind of a new hobby / side hustle for her. And we asked for kelp, and we got snails and slugs and sea stars and urchins. And we knew we were working with this narrative, which is like old creepy fishing man sinks after getting dragged down by a giant squid, and then like many years pass, and he's turned this underwater reality of his into a bit of a musical oasis. Okay, so we have the organ, which is really my MIDI controller that we placed into a gutted organ that we got on Craigslist.
Nice.
Free. And covered that in moss or algae, and that was it. Everything else just sort of improvised, especially the second half, which is not Submersiverse. The turn into something a little more energetic is that's an unreleased thing I call Morn Diablotins.
I think someone was asking that too. They were asking if it was unreleased. I remember that now.
I did an exercise. It's been a year, a really long time ago. Sometime towards the beginning of lockdown, where I wrote a song every day with a group of people, with like an incredible group of songwriters that I had like no place being a part of. It was pretty cool. And so Morn Diablotins is the it's almost exactly in the form of that one day's work.
Wow.
So it sounds only a tiny bit different from what I turned in that day. So that was pretty cool. I felt very, I remember it was the last day of that project. So we had written a song every day for 7 days. And I, for the duration of the week, got myself an Airbnb somewhere near Big Bear. I'm going to probably forget the name of the lake, but whatever, San Jacinto's, California. And, but I timed it wrong. I screwed up, and I was going to be traveling back the day that I needed to turn in song number 7. Oh. So I drove all the way back, got back pretty late. And, but that one came together in like an incredibly short amount of time, which is a story every songwriter has about how they threw something together that they're really proud of now, but they didn't expect it to be successful or whatever. I don't have that story. Everything I've ever done that anyone's ever cared about took me forever and was really hard and almost broke me. And I want that experience. I want to write that thing that's easy and just like you thought was a joke and it makes you famous. Give me that.
Right.
Give me that experience.
That's true. A couple people have asked who the mermaid is.
Oh, there's a few. Oh, well, I mean, I think they're probably talking about Lauren. Yeah. Lauren. Who you guys
we just met Lauren.
Yeah. You guys just met Lauren. So Lauren was a mermaid. And then we had a diver in Emma Bradford, who we mentioned, who is the art director for Kelp for us. And then the other diver was Sarah Lou, who we've talked about also. So, those were the cameos when we broke the third wall in Kelp Forest.
How long?
Fourth wall? Wait, which wall do you break?
Fourth wall.
Fourth wall.
Yeah, because there's 3, and then the one behind you. Right. The fourth one is the screen.
Right.
And how long did it take you guys to put all that together? From like concept to filming it to creation. I mean, that must have taken a while.
It did. We had 5 sets, and we had 2 months. And wow. I think 2 months sounds like a long time, but I mean, we were rushing for sure. There wasn't all that much prep that got to happen before. So that 2 months also included all of my work for the live versions of songs. So we were doing a lot of sourcing props and beginnings of like fabrication and stuff, and making a plan and a timeline throughout the first few weeks. And then when we had like 5 weeks left, basically, maybe 6 weeks left, because I had a week to edit as well.
Oh, wow. Editing.
So I guess with about 6 weeks left before we needed to turn in our performance, it was prep, build, shoot, prep, build, shoot, prep, build, shoot, prep, build, shoot, prep, build, shoot. And at nighttime, I would be working on not just like the live versions of these songs, but also the live implementation, because it's a weird thing, making sure that you're going to be able to not just play parts live for recording, but also be able to like reach or somehow remote start and stop the computer and make sure you save whatever it is that you, and for most of these sets, it was just me and Sarah. Well, that's not entirely true. We had help on almost every one, but anyway, going into planning, Sarah and I were thinking, okay, we need to be ready for it to just be the 2 of us in there. So like, who's going to run the computer, because Sarah is, running the camera and I'm supposedly acting and all this stuff. So, 2 very, very concentrated months of work.
and Emma, everyone knows them now. The mermaids are your mer friends. We're all
great.
in on it.
Yeah, I can't even explain how important the women in my life are. These are,
Shout
These
out
are big
the
shout-outs,
ladies.
yeah.
Did you see the live Twitch chat reaction to the set? Were you watching live and watching everyone freak out?
I didn't. I went back. Somebody, I was watching, but I was in a Discord with some of the other artists, and their reaction alone was just like so personal and overwhelming and so interesting to me. And it was like from all these people I know personally, but don't ever get to hang out with, and don't even really chat with that often. I'm pretty bad about keeping up with my music friends. And anyway, so that was like. I was pretty silent throughout it, and I was just sort of like trying to absorb what was going on because my phone was doing a lot of vibrating in that moment. And it was, so anyway, later on somebody did rip the Twitch chat VOD or whatever you call it and put it up. So I did get to go back through and watch that because of course I wanted to see that because I mean, my vanity is real. I wanted to know what people were saying throughout it, and it was extremely fun. If the YouTube one existed, I would watch that as well. I would love to have seen people's reactions to that.
Oh, well, that's good. I know. I feel you on that. It's nice to know that the hard work is like being appreciated because it's a lot of just like, I'm sure, especially with the video editing process, you had to just be like a person in front of a computer going like, I hope anyone fucking likes this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I have like, I don't hide it. I'm like pretty insecure about, doing something a little bit out of the ordinary. It's like, if I was going to go and DJ in front of an LED screen, like I would be insecure, but only because I think I look funny on camera. Like I'm kind of an awkward person. And so that's what I would be worried about, but I could deal with that or whatever. But yeah, it's like when they give you an assignment to do to present your music however you want to, and like, you so obviously sort of I don't know, break the mold's a little too dramatic, but just like take advantage of the format like that. There's definitely this feeling like, oh, I mean, like, are you like the overachiever in the class, and is that cool, or is like, does this celebrate the sort of the live performance, which is the thing that we're trying to recreate and sort of do enough? And so I had this moment where I was beginning to share little bits and pieces with Porter, and I was really nervous about it because I wasn't sure whether how he and his team were going to feel about something like super out of left field and not sort of the standard format for this. And I think what I was doing was trying to make sure that what I was up to was okay. And he was like right in the middle of getting Nurture V1 is what they were calling it together. And so I'd send him something and I'd get like a really enthusiastic response, and then something else, and he'd just go silent for a while. And like that, like my insecurity is real. So like I would be really nervous about it, and I didn't know how people were going to feel about something. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I go through that same process just like anybody.
Yeah.
So I absolutely needed and appreciated the feedback that I got that day and like the days afterwards and stuff. And it has made me feel super, super good to know that people are sort of down for something like that with a little bit more storyline and maybe a little less of the the thing that I don't do as well, which is to be like a really, really incredible tastemaker, cool person who just like, I mean, when I think about the difference between my performance and Boys Noise's performance, it's like they're so unbelievably different in terms of like the scope of the thing that we're trying to do. Right. And yet I think of like him still achieving an impossibly high bar in terms of like how cool and how much of like a trendsetter and a world changing like tastemaker, the man is. And so, like,
that's him. Like I trust and believe in my soul that when we're not watching Boys Noise, he's sitting in a fucking bunker playing hard ass fucking bangers. Like
there's just like knobs everywhere.
Yeah. You're like, he's
I
living
agree.
his truth. And that's cool.
Yeah.
And we all think it's cool because we're like, that dude is like doing him. And this is your version of that. And like, it would be awkward maybe if you tried to be like, I'm in my techno banca, but you're like, hey guys, I'm in the kelp forest playing my MIDI organ, and this is who I am. And everyone's like, yes!
Yeah. So no, I needed that, and and my people around me here know that too. I mean, like everybody who knows me personally knows that I like get very insecure about whatever it is that's going to come out soon and stuff. And so I was definitely getting it from all angles in that moment, and I really appreciated it, and continue to appreciate it. And I'm a happy Swardy.
Happy Swardy.